The arrogant spark. It began, as many galactic tragedies do, with arrogance. The Varash Dominion, predators of the void, conquerors of 100 systems, struck without warning. Their ships fell upon the human colony of Carthos IV, a world of farmers, scientists, and children. The Varash commander broadcast his words across the stars. Earth breeds prey, not warriors. Watch as we make them kneel. The skies of Carthos lit with fire as orbital strikes erased entire cities. Families clung together in bunkers, only to be torn apart by kinetic bombardments. Civilian convoys fleeing into orbit were ambushed, their vessels ripped open and left to drift, screams silenced into the vacuum. The Varash reveled in cruelty, their soldiers recording scenes of destruction, sharing them across the networks of allied species. The message was clear. Humanity was weak, soft, unworthy of the galactic stage. Laughter in the stars. When the Dominion withdrew, they carried not only slaves and plunder but also pride. Their fleets returned to their homeworlds boasting of victory. Other empires chuckled with them. Humans were young, inexperienced, and too civilized for war. Scholars and diplomats, yes, but warriors, no. Around the galactic councils, mockery echoed. They write treaties. They build art. They cling to peace. The galaxy saw Earth as harmless, a fledgling voice among predators. Surely humanity would bow or beg. Surely Earth would sue for peace. And for a time, silence was their answer. The silence before the storm. The silence unnerved the boldest of species. No threats came, no declarations, no frantic envoys, just quiet. But in that silence, the forges of Earth roared. Docks around Mars glowed as dreadnoughts older than centuries were torn from their slumber and rebuilt. Moon-based shipyards expanded, spitting out cruisers in endless streams. Old war codes, written by ancestors in humanity's bloodiest centuries, were dusted off and read aloud in command halls. Admirals who had sworn never again to raise fleets stood once more. Generals trained armies in ways that other species had long forgotten. They did not build for defense. They built for vengeance. And when the silence broke, it broke like a world-ending storm. The awakening of Earth's war machine. It began with a signal. A single broadcast pulsed across the Dominion's border systems. Cold, calm, human. You have drawn blood, now we answer. Then the stars darkened. At the edge of Varash space, entire constellations blinked as massive human fleets emerged from FTL. Ships so large they cast shadows across moons. Carriers that carried carriers. Dreadnoughts whose cannons were older than the Dominion itself. Each vessel bore the emblem of Earth, the old blue sphere wrapped in steel, and they advanced without hesitation. The Varash, accustomed to prey scattering, instead found hunters at their gates. The first retaliation. The Dominion's outer garrisons prepared to mock another battle. They did not mock long. Human cruisers unleashed rail strikes that shattered orbital stations in a single volley. Marine dropships fell through the skies of fortress worlds like meteors, disgorging soldiers whose armor reflected the sun's. Each one carried with them not just weapons but doctrine, centuries of war distilled into ruthlessness. Planetary defenses that had stood for millennia fell in hours. Dominion admirals attempted to rally, only to watch human dreadnoughts tear apart fleets 10 times their size with precision fire and disciplined coordination. The lesson was clear. Humanity did not come to bargain. They came to erase arrogance, teaching the galaxy how to fight. But Earth's response was more than retribution. It was revelation. The galaxy, watching in horror and awe, realized that humanity's way of war was unlike anything they had seen. Where most species relied on overwhelming numbers, humanity relied on strategy, deception, and timing. They taught the stars how to fight wars that broke empires. Supply lines severed with surgical precision. Communication networks blinded in minutes. Enemy morale shattered not by slaughter, but by the cold inevitability of defeat. Humanity's fleets did not simply destroy, they demonstrated. Every strike was a lecture, every annihilation a lesson, and the galaxy, unwilling students though they were, learned. The hammer falls. The Varash capital was the crucible. The Dominion's entire grand fleet assembled there, thousands of ships, a force that had dominated half the galaxy. Humanity came with fewer ships, but where the Dominion roared, Earth was silent. Where the Dominion charged, Earth was patient. The battle raged like a storm around the twin suns. Alien commanders laughed at humanity's smaller numbers until their warships began exploding in patterns. Patterns that revealed Earth's mastery. Flanking maneuvers cut through their formations like blades through cloth. Orbital mechanics turned human cruisers into executioners. Superdreadnoughts unleashed barrages that split fleets apart, each strike calculated decades in advance. And above it all, human comms whispered one phrase, broadcast to every channel. "This is how you fight." Hours later, the Grand Fleet was gone. The twin suns shone upon wreckage that drifted for centuries after. The burning of thrones. When human armies landed on Varash Prime, the galaxy held its breath. The Dominion had built palaces of bone and steel, towers carved from the spines of their enemies. They believed no invader would ever touch them. Humans reduced them to ash. Stormtroopers advanced through city streets with relentless calm, their banners flying not for conquest but for justice. Civilians were spared, but the ruling castes, the generals, the slavers, the butchers, were dragged into the open. Trials were brief, sentences swifter. The message was not subtle. Humanity forgives little, forgets nothing, and answers cruelty with cold finality. The aftermath of fire. When it ended, silence returned, not the silence of arrogance but of dread. The Dominion was no more. Their fleets shattered, their rulers gone, their worlds rebuilt under human oversight. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Never provoke Earth again. They are patient, yes, but their vengeance is infinite. Species that once mocked humanity now studied their wars like sacred texts. Admirals rewrote doctrines to mirror human maneuvers. Soldiers prayed they would never face Earth in battle. And somewhere in the quiet halls of Earth's high command, the admirals spoke only one sentence. "We did not conquer, we taught, and the galaxy has learned." The lesson etched in stars. In the centuries that followed, the day became legend. The day Earth rose not as prey, not even as predator, but as the teacher of war. The galaxy had seen battles before. They had seen empires fall and rise, but never had they seen vengeance so absolute, so disciplined, so surgical. They learned that humanity does not rush. They wait, they build, they remember, and when the time comes, they strike with storms that erase arrogance from history itself. Carthos IV was rebuilt, its people honored, its skies cleared of fire. Yet survivors, when asked what they remembered most, did not speak of the destruction. They spoke of the silence before Earth's fleets arrived, the silence that meant judgment was coming. Whispered fear. Now, whenever arrogant commanders speak of conquest, their advisors whisper reminders. Do not touch Earth. Do not harm their kin. For patience is long, but vengeance is longer. The galaxy had wanted to see humanity broken. Instead, it saw the truth. The day humanity taught the galaxy how to fight. And the lesson was carved in ash, steel, and silence.